Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel. This is my first video in the post 20-year Film Fest era. It was a really long series I was doing. It was fun, but I'm really glad it's over. It went on for a really long time, 40 videos. I just recently saw a film that I was very much looking forward to seeing this fall. It's one of those movies that I wasn't really even aware of until I saw the first trailer go up online. It wasn't like I was anticipating it for months, but I really should have been, because the director is Denis Villeneuve, who did Prisoners a couple years ago, a film that I liked very much, enough to put in my top 10 of the year. Sicario is the name of the film, and Sicario translates as Hitman in Spanish, at least in Mexico, according to the film. The main character is played by Emily Blunt. She is an FBI agent who's been busting down doors and apprehending, cartel members in, I guess it's Arizona, when the film starts. And after an operation, she's recruited by a guy from, he says, the Department of Justice. He's played by Josh Brolin, to engage in a special task force to root out the guys who are responsible higher up the food chain of the cartel. Along the way, she is also introduced to a character played by Benicio Del Toro, who is pretty vague about what his authority is and who he works for and what it is that he's after exactly. So the two of them, the three of them, along with a team of special forces people, they engage in an operation that seems pretty risky, and the Emily Blunt character begins to question exactly what it is they're doing and why and under whose authority, and she just starts to question all of it, which is really cool, actually. I mean, ordinarily, a character like the one she plays would probably just go along and follow orders, and maybe halfway through the story start to go, hey, what's going on here? No, she starts questioning things right from the very beginning. She's a very smart character, and she doesn't, bow to, what people say easily. The Josh Brolin character is really interesting because he is deliberately keeping details of the operation vague or mysterious, and whenever anyone, such as Emily Blunt or her partner, ask about that, he just kind of smiles and lets them wonder. He's a fun character. Benicio Del Toro, on the other hand, he's sort of like a stone wall. He's not letting anything in or out. He gives her advice on how to handle particular situations, but he still is keeping her in the dark, just like the Josh Brolin character, and things start to get really hairy after a while. One thing that I always find is a good measure of whether a film works or not, or whether the film is memorable or not, is whether or not I can think back days or weeks later and try and remember exactly how the movie ends. What is the thing that happens at the very end of the film? Because if I can remember that, if I can remember specific details like that, then I know the film has really worked and has really sort of, done its job well. And Sicario has basically ends with 3 particular scenes. And if you see this movie, I pretty much guarantee you that at least 2 of those scenes will stay in your head for a very, very long time. It can be a pretty powerful experience. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about Roger Deakins, because people have been talking about him since the movie came out and how great his photography is. Deakins took over for Barry Sonnenfeld in the Coen Brothers films. Barry Sonnenfeld shot a couple of Coen Brothers films while he was still DP, before he became the director of the Addams Family movies and then went on to do Men in Black and other stuff like that. He shot Raising Arizona and Miller's Crossing, and Deakins started with Barton Fink and has shot most of their movies since then. I haven't seen the adaptation of George Orwell's novel 1984, which stars John Hurt, but Deakins shot that film, and he also shot an early Mike Figgis movie that's a longtime favorite of mine called Stormy Monday, with Sean Bean and Tommy Lee Jones and Melanie Griffith and Sting. I really like that movie a lot, and I'm really hoping that at some point they put out a nice Blu-ray or good remastered version of the movie, because it's very, very good looking, even on cruddy VHS, which is what I've been watching it on most of the years. One of my favorite movies of 1991 is Homicide, a David Mamet film starring Joe Mantegna and William H. Macy, and he shot that film. Starting with Barton Fink, of course, he shot movies for the Coen Brothers like The Hudsucker Proxy and The Man Who Wasn't There, and No Country for Old Men. And those are probably the more beautiful Coen Brothers movies that he shot. The Secret Garden is a kind of a family film that came out in 1993. It's very good looking. The Shawshank Redemption, of course, Best Picture nominee. He shot that. He shot the Martin Scorsese film Kundun about the Dalai Lama. He shot A Beautiful Mind for Ron Howard. He shot The House of Sand and Fog with Ben Kingsley and Jennifer Connelly. That's a very, very gorgeous looking movie. Jarhead for Sam Mendes. In the Valley of Elah, the Paul Haggis film with Tommy Lee Jones and Charlize Theron. He shot The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. This is an Andrew Dominik film. He went on to do the movie with Brad Pitt called Killing Them Softly. The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford is a long title, and it's a long movie too, nearly 3 hours, but it's one of the most gorgeous, incredibly gorgeous movies. I mean, if all you want to do is just look at beautiful images for 3 hours and just let them wash all over you, you could do a lot worse than The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford. Revolutionary Road is another Sam Mendes film with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. He shot that. He also shot Skyfall for Sam Mendes. And of course he shot Denis Villeneuve's previous film, Prisoners, as well as Sicario. Those are all very, very, very good-looking films. And Deakins shot all of them. Those are just the ones that I liked. There's more, of course. Some that I haven't seen. But yeah, those are like the highlights of his career for me anyway. So yeah, Sicario is undoubtedly going to be on my best of the year list. Yeah, if you get the chance to check it out, it's a pretty strong movie and has some rather gut-wrenching scenes in it. If that's the kind of thing that you can handle, I would strongly suggest checking it out. So, there's my little Sicario review. I hope you liked it. I hope you'll tune in for more stuff. Thank you to all my new subscribers and people who watch and comment. Really appreciate it. See you again soon.